Well, hello there, and welcome to the Okanogan Forest Channel. Right now it's about 10 minutes after 5, and since it's early in 2021, it's already pitch black outside, so I'm sitting inside my container cabin here, off-the-grid cabin here in the Okanogan Highlands, and I just thought I would call my Elmer here and thank him for a pleasant day, and also just make the point and discuss a little bit the Valley Simplex that we're trying to set up here, because I think that would be of interest to people. But let me say hello. This isn't about seeing me. It's really about seeing this wonderful battery pack box that he's built here, and then of course my handheld radio, which you can see right there. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and turn that radio on and see if I can make a connection. Well, I haven't turned it on. There we go. All right, so you see it come on. And I'm just going to sit here, and you can kind of see me, and you'll certainly be able to hear. But the important part of this is the value of a ham radio license and having a ham radio in an off-the-grid kind of wilderness environment like this. So I'm hoping that that'll come through in this particular video. K7 MGE, K7 OME. Now I don't know if you could see, but the light went on my radio. That means I was broadcasting. Now, if he comes back, it'll be green.
K7 MGE, K7 OME.
Well, hello there. I see you're there. But before I say anything else, I want to tell you that I've got my little iPhone camera running, and I just wanted to talk to you on the radio one more time to kind of brag a little bit about this wonderful battery box, and also the value of this ham radio system here in the valley.
Alrighty, go right ahead.
Well, and the other thing I want to say, quite honestly, is before that, I just want to thank you for an absolutely spectacular day. You know, it started with the temperature outside at, what was it, 2 degrees Fahrenheit? And, you know, the sun came out and we did some fun things. And my day was really blessed by being able to do some things with you. So I appreciate it. And, of course, you're not here now. You're off in your cabin. But we're communicating by this simplex system on ham radio. And I would just like to really promote the idea of using these things in the valley because it's good communication. How many people have ham radio? Not names, but just how many people that you can count so far in the valley have ham radio?
Well, the only ones that I know of, there would be 4, including you and me.
Well, that's pretty good. And you know what? If we can talk some other people, this is a pretty big valley, and if we can talk some other people into it, I think it'd be great. It's easy to do. For goodness sakes, if I got a license, anybody can. And you know, there's some benefits. Today was just fun. We had fun today. But I can see a situation in the summer if there are fires or some other kind of emergency, or if somebody wants to go out hiking, or if they're in the middle of winter on a day like today, go up on snow machines up above. They can take a handheld with them, and they're still in communication in the case of an emergency.
Oh, yeah, that's very true. But you know, people would have to be consistent about it. I know that there's some people around here using GMRS, handhelds, which is basically just a low-power walkie-talkie, which is fine, but there's a limit to what you can do with those in this valley. It'd be a lot better off if they had the ham radio, but you do have to do a little teeny bit of study to get a license for the radio. And the GMRS stuff, all you have to do is pay the fee.
Well, easy, quite honestly, easy isn't always better, that's for sure.
Oh, no doubt about it. And it's not hard to get the ham radio tech license that you need for the radios that we're using right now. That's a very simple thing to do. There's only 25 questions on the test, for Pete's sakes.
So if you have any kind of a background at all and just do a little studying, I've heard of people, now I didn't do this, but I've heard of people actually studying over the course of a day or a week and then going and taking the test and passing it.
Oh yeah. In fact, I have a friend that I used to work in the same place with him, and I had send him emails every once in a while. I think he's in Arizona. And when I got my ham license, I sent him an email and said, "Hey, I got a ham license." And he said, "Really?" I said, "I got one too." And I said, "I didn't know you were a ham." And he said, "Yeah, I've got an extra class license." Turns out one of his friends wanted to go get their tech license and asked him to go with them. So he went, had no interest in getting a ham license, but while he was there, they talked him into just, taking the test. Now, he'd never studied for it, but he passed the tech test. And, when you pass that, they give you the opportunity to take the general for free. So he took the general, and he passed that. So they gave him the opportunity to take the extra for free, and he did, and he passed that. So he's got an extra class license, and he never has owned a radio.
Well, that's really an interesting story. And just to contrast that, I guess, I should probably say that what I did was over a couple of months, just when I had free time. There are a lot of apps out there on smartphones, and I just kept practicing tests and looking at what I didn't understand and learning it to the point where when I went to take my test, um, it wasn't that tough. It was pretty easy.
That's basically what I did. I used the websites that basically the same apps that you're looking at, but on the computer. And I got my tech license all the way through the extra in 6 months.
Well, it'd probably take me longer than that because I don't have the background. But the point is, even a person like me without the background can do it. Now, the other interesting thing here, the camera's kind of looking at this big box. I'll kind of point it out right here. And what we did with this, and I got to thank my Elmer, the guy I'm talking to here, but what we did with this is create a power source so that I can use my ham radio up here and off the grid in my off the grid cabin for, well, I guess without exaggerating or bragging, for weeks on end.
Yeah, and you really need to leave that thing turned on for 12 hours a day, plugging in whatever you need to, because that's the only way we're going to find out just how long it actually will last.
Well, we've been using it as much as we have the last couple days, and it's still on 12.7, so it seems to be working pretty well.
Oh, yeah, I have pretty significant confidence that it's good for a couple of weeks on that handheld you have there, but, again, my confidence doesn't prove anything. You have to do it to really know.
Well, that's certainly right. That's correct for sure. But I honestly think that if we had a Valley Simplex and people were plugged into it or aware of it, the Valley would be safer. There'd be less problems with people that shouldn't be here. And in the event of a real emergency, earthquake, fire, or otherwise, there would be a way to communicate. Now, of course, you live in this valley all the time, and I just come when I can. But you can tell me that the power goes out once in a while. You've got electricity. I don't up here, but the power goes out sometimes. And when the power goes out, my ham radio here is still going to work.
Yep, absolutely. One of the things you didn't mention is that we have some fairly significant winters in here and in this area. And there's no cell phone coverage for 30 miles around here. So if you get out there and slide off the road, like I have done and many other people have done, slide off the road, there's no traffic to speak of. You could sit out there in sub-zero weather for quite a long time before anybody finds you. So a ham radio is one very good way to circumvent that problem, if anybody's listening. That's the other thing. People have to turn the darn radios on and listen.
Well, that's certainly true. This is K7MGE. I just want to give my call sign because you're required to do that with ham operation. The other thing I would say, and I have to, it's amazing to me. My reason for getting a ham was so that I could sit here in my cabin and communicate out. But honestly, in the months since I've gotten it, I've discovered that there are all kinds of other things that are benefits that come with having a ham license and being able to use a ham radio, communicating all over. Now, I do have one other Elmer who's been up to this cabin, and when he came, he set up his ham radio, and we threw a wire up in the tree, and before you know it, we were talking to somebody in New Zealand. So that's fun. And that's not really emergency preparedness or a safety feature, but there's so much to learn that's way beyond the basics.
Well, that actually can fall into the emergency preparedness category as well, because he was probably using an HF radio in the event of a really serious national emergency. And if power goes down, even right now, even if it's not a serious emergency, but power does go out. My power went out several times in the last couple of weeks. But if it's down for long enough, the repeaters will stop working. Most of them have battery systems on them, but they're only going to be good for a certain number of hours because those are 100-watt transmitters. So once they go down, the 2-meter radio won't reach very far. And those HF radios, like your friend has, they're the answer to that.
And the way you get to that kind of radio is to get a general license, which is the second license that you get. That's correct, isn't it?
It is correct. The general gives you access to just about all the areas of all the bands that a ham radio operator can use. The extra fills in the gaps and gets the rest, total access to everything, even microwaves. But for the most part, general is almost anybody would ever need. K7OME.
Well, I want to thank you for a wonderful day, and I want to thank you for building this battery pack that makes it possible for me to have my ham radio up here for days on end. And I want to thank you for the description you've given us here. I'm going to go ahead and finish this conversation and turn off the little camera that I'm recording on, and pretty much call it a day. I think I've had a full and wonderful day today, and I want to thank you for it. So this is K7MGE signing off.
K7OME, clear.
So that's how that works. And it's really kind of cool. I'm happy with it. Now, what he was saying is absolutely right. With the 2-meter radio, which I have here, my distance is limited. It could be, if I use a repeater, I can go 50, 60, maybe even 100 miles. But what I'm talking about mostly here is having some kind of connectivity here in this remote valley. And that's what makes this so much fun. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting, and if you've actually watched the whole thing, I'm impressed. Anyway, good luck with your project. If you have an off-the-grid cabin, or if you're thinking about it, or if you happen to be in this particular valley, I would strongly suggest that you think about getting a ham radio license, and then you could use the simplex channel that we've set up to work this valley. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Good night. Take care.